Hi everyone, Sean Walbin with Secure Cyber, and this is your weekly cyber update. Well, back in the studio this week, we were in Dallas, Texas last week, so you got to enjoy the weekly cyber update on the road. But now back in the studio, so we can get back to normal in somewhat of a way. We'll start out with the article. The first one, 911 systems are back online in Connecticut after a reported equipment outage. The only reason we bring this up again is because we've been tracking these 911 outages as they have been occurring across the United States. We've seen everything ranging from equipment problems to carrier issues to outages happening because of non-redundancy paths. So, this is just a reminder to always have a backup plan in the event that 911 cannot be reached. We'll continue to monitor the Connecticut incident and let you know if it was actual equipment failure. At this point, there's no indication to believe it was a cyber attack, but there's also no evidence to believe that it wasn't. Next up, Google has made an announcement that there is a Samsung vulnerability to the Android platform specifically that's being exploited in the wild. Just a reminder to always be checking your mobile devices to make sure that you're in compliance. That's using some type of mobile device management like Intune or something to make sure that, especially if it's BYOD, if you're bring your own device, because I think mobile devices oftentimes get forgotten about in this particular case. So this is just a reminder that if you've got mobile devices that are being used on your network in a BYOD scenario, that number one, you definitely need to have some type of mobile device management. And number two, you also need to start making sure that you're checking for vulnerabilities on these devices to make sure that you're also patching them in a timely manner. This is an interesting article. In Trumble County, Ohio, there's some type of dispute right now, and again, the article is down in the description, so it'd be interesting for you to look at it. Apparently, $160,000 was stolen in a series of wire accounts in what appears to be a business email compromise in which a threat actor took over an employee's account at Trumble County and was able to change the wiring location for a series of wires that equaled $160,000. Now, what's interesting about the article is there is some dispute from the Trumble County employee whose account got hijacked is pointing the finger at the IT department and saying that they turned off multi-factor authentication on their account. Now, I don't know who initiated the request. The article goes back and forth with a lot of finger pointing, but we'll use this as a reminder to tell you to make sure that you're looking at your secure score inside Microsoft 365, because it will tell you if you've got a device that's not in compliance any longer and it doesn't have multi-factor authentication enabled. This is also a reminder to make sure that you have good change control policies and procedures to make sure that if that was to happen, that it's noted somewhere for somebody to turn it back on. I can only think of like a very, very small handful of situations that would require multi-factor authentication to be turned off in the first place. So definitely make sure in your environment that MFA is turned on across the board, because in this particular case, which the user who did who they interviewed at Trumbull County, who's upset about their MFA being turned off, they are correct that if it would have been on, that the money would have not been stolen from the general fund. And last but not least on the list of articles for this week is the SEC has announced their 2025 exam priorities, as they do every year, indicating that these are the areas that they're going to concentrate on where they're doing audits. Now, and the reason we bring this up here is because Secure Cyber does a lot in the registered investment advisor space as well as the broker-dealer space. So looking at the SEC priorities is definitely a gauge that we use when talking to clients and for next year on what they should be concentrating on from a cybersecurity perspective. Now, in this particular case, really big surprise. There hasn't been a huge change from 2024 predictions to 2025, only to say that AI is being mentioned even more. So I was just at a conference last week in Texas where I spoke a couple times And the topic of AI was coming up many, many times. The only thing I'll say about AI is, we're definitely entering into an area where we need to make sure that we have the proper controls in place to manage AI deployments. We need to make sure that we've got the proper education in place to make sure that we're educating AI deployments. This is a situation where AI is only 2 years old. So ChatGPT just turned 2 this year, and it feels like this technology's been out for 10 years. So just keep in mind, if you operate in that space, the link to the predictions are down in the show notes, in the description. And this is a really good opportunity to sit down with your teams and with your service providers and take a look at what the SEC is going to concentrate on this year and just make sure that you're in alignment with those directives. And that's all we have for this week. I appreciate your viewership. Please like and subscribe this video, pass it on to your friends. This is our way of communicating just some of those bigger articles throughout the week. And please make sure you pay attention to the CS Cyber podcast as well. We drop that once a week. Typically, we go into a little bit deeper discussions with Chad Robinson, the Secure Cyber vCISO, where we get the opportunity to just dissect things a little bit and go back into, go into a little deeper conversation about some articles. So, hey, it's getting rough out there, and let's be careful out there.